All right, so does waking up and doing your cardio fasted before you eat anything actually burn more fat, or does it even really matter? So today I'm going to tell you what the science and the studies say, but then also what I've seen personally within myself, and then with working with tons of bodybuilders and hybrid athletes over the last several years, because sometimes the science and studies don't always align with every situation out there. So there's been tons of studies over the last several decades now on fasted cardio versus fed cardio, what that does as far as fat loss, muscle gain, muscle loss, all of that. Long story short, with pretty much all of these studies shows a very little difference between whether you do your cardio fasted or whether you do it after you've already had a meal or some meals, you're fed. There's very little difference in fat loss between those two groups. With that being said, that's not always the case of how it's going to play. There is a reason why you see a lot of athletes, specifically competitive bodybuilders, pro bodybuilders, why most of them do their cardio fasted, or at least their primary amount of cardio fasted rather than a fed state. So first off, personally within myself, I used to be totally on just the fasted camp. I thought that yes, there's these studies showing that it's a little difference, but clearly these studies didn't take everything into play because there is a reason why pretty much all bodybuilders do their cardio fasted is got to burn more fat. That used to be the camp that I was in. After now several years of experimenting within myself on fasted cardio versus fed cardio, and then having tons of clients that due to schedule restraints, all that, a lot of people can't do fasted cardio. So they did fed cardio. And what I've seen is, it really does align for most people with what the studies say. Meaning that as long as you get the cardio in, so 30 minutes fasted cardio is going to equate to just about the same amount of fat gain as 30 minutes of cardio in a fed state. So after you've already had some meals. That is what I would say is the case on most people out there, but that's not always the case. There is a reason why the bro science says you should do your cardio fasted. So the situations in which I would say you're going to actually burn fat a little bit more efficiently in a fasted state rather than fed, these are going to be the people on PEDs. So did you take growth hormone before you went to bed the night before? Did you wake up and take L-carnitine, Yohimbe? Some people would say Clen has to do with it, but Clen's going to work throughout the day, period. But the point here is if you are someone using PEDs, the PEDs are going to allow you to be in a little bit better fat burning zone when you are waking up fasted, depending on what PEDs you're using, where you got those situated, all of that. With that being said, even with that being the case, it's still very, very negligible difference. At the end of the day, cardio is just an added tool for caloric expenditure. So you're just trying to increase, your calories burned throughout the day with the cardio. This is where so many people put too big of an emphasis on cardio and not a big enough emphasis on, dropping their calories. I did a recent video on this on, if you're in a cut, should your next step be to lower your calories or should it be to increase cardio? Definitely recommend checking out that video. But long story short with that, for most people out there, they're putting way too big of an emphasis on creating their caloric deficit with cardio rather than doing it with the diet. Because at the end of the day, all cardio really is a tool to help increase your daily caloric expenditure, increase the deficit that you're in. That's where you're going to be able to burn fat faster. Now, there are cases where fasted cardio may actually be worse than if you're in a fed state. This is really, really going to be applicable to my hybrid athletes out there. If you're someone that, for your cardio, you like to run, rather than just doing, your lists, just steady state on, say, a stationary bike or incline treadmill or Stairmaster. If you're someone that likes to go out and run, or you like to row, something that's a little bit more intense, this is where a lot of times you're going to want to make sure that you don't have the volume and intensity balance way off, because you can burn muscle if you do too much in a fasted state. So if you've got the intensity and the volume of your cardio session, so if you're out running, the intensity and the volume of that session is most likely going to be quite a bit more than if you're to just do lists, steady state cardio on, say, a bike or treadmill. This is where you're not in a fed state, you've not had a protein feeding in quite a while, and this is where there can be more muscle breakdown in a fasted state if the duration of the cardio is too high, or especially if the intensity is too high. And this all goes back to what I talked about in that video on should you increase cardio, decrease calories. It all comes back to fatigue management. And this all comes back to your goals too. If you're trying to be pro bodybuilder, you're trying to be as competitive a bodybuilder as possible, keep as much muscle on your frame as possible, and your whole sole focus with cardio is, just burning fat and saving as much tissue as possible. This is where, for those of you out there, especially those of you that are using PEDs, I would recommend doing at least most of your cardio in a fasted state. But if that doesn't apply to you, you're a hybrid athlete, you're a bodybuilder, but maybe you're not trying to be on the Olympia stage, all of that, at the end of the day, it's not really going to matter. So what I tell people is build this around your schedule. If you like to get up and start your day with fasted cardio, like myself, that's personally what I like. If you like to get up and start your day with fasted cardio, you like the feeling of that, you like the kind of endorphins and the runner's high of it, and then you have the rest of your day to kind of go about your day, have your regular training, and then have all your meals. Get up and do it fasted. If it works better for you to stick your cardio, later in the day, or even post-training. Post-training, in my opinion, is not the most efficient, but it still is, at the end of the day, it's still going to be just about the same fat burn as if you're doing it fasted or if you're doing it any other part of the day. The point here is do the cardio. So whether you're choosing to do it fasted or fed, at the end of the day is going to be pretty much right about the same amount of fat burn. The only caveat here is are you enhanced? Are you using PEDs? But other than that, for most people out there, it's not really going to matter whether you do it fasted or fed, as long as you do it. At the end of the day, cardio is just an added tool to help increase your deficit. So, this is a question I get quite frequently. It's been talked about in the fitness industry for literally decades now. And there's still so many people out there that, will die by the sword on either side. Whether, it does not matter at all when you do your cardio, and then you have all the kind of diehard bodybuilders that say you have to do your cardio fasted. At the end of the day, it's not going to make that big of a difference, if the amount of cardio is kept the same wherever you stick it, as long as it gets done. There's just a few other caveats out there. Are you enhanced? What's your schedule like? All of that. And then, like I said, if you're someone that likes to get up and your cardio modality is a little bit more intense, it's not just steady state cardio, you're probably going to want to optimally do it in a fed state. Me personally, let's say if I wanted to go out and do 4 or 5 mile run, personally, to hold as much tissue on my frame as possible, I would first get up, have a meal, let that digest, and then go out for the run. And then I can still get a couple other meals down before I go and lift weights. It's not to say if I did that 4 or 5 mile run fasted, I'm going to be screwed and just tear through tissue, but I will eat through a little bit more tissue than if I was in a fed state for that type of training. But that's a talk for a whole other time on, different cardio modalities, which ones are the most catabolic, which ones are going to be the best for holding tissue, because that is where I see a little bit more of a difference than, the fasted or fed argument. So everyone's arguing on, is fasted cardio better or is fed cardio better for fat loss. What I see have the biggest impact on the overall look is what type of cardio is it? So are you doing HIIT? Are you doing lifts? Are you doing on a bike? Are you doing on a Stairmaster? Are you running? Are you rowing? There's so many different types of cardio modalities out there, and some are more catabolic than others. And at the end of the day, it's how you balance out the volume and intensity. But I wanted to bring this quick video to you guys on, fasted versus fed cardio. At the end of the day, it's really going to be a negligible difference. The main point here is you want to go ahead and get that cardio in. If you've got 30 minutes of cardio you're supposed to do, as long as it gets in that day, you're good to go. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please go ahead and smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Be happy, be positive, be powerful, and have a great rest of your day.